I'll say this to the folks that are listening. I've taught a lot of people over the years. I sat one-on-one with people, and I've created a lot of wealthy people doing it that way. And I made a lot of wealthy individuals in the last, I guess, 24 months. The majority of the millionaires that are now out there in the world, talking the lingo that we're talking, a Fight Club, they are incorporating my inversion fair value gap. It really caught fire with a lot of people. It kind of like resonates with a lot of people, and it just gets back to where's the market going to go, and you just need to find a foothold. And if you see where these gaps are, and you can anchor them to opening ranges, key opening times, and the 8:30, 8 o'clock to 8:30, that's an opening range as well because you're going into the news embargo. So all the news is going to start pumping into the marketplace. What's that going to do? It's going to flood the market with liquidity. We're not looking for buying and selling pressure. We're just looking for scalps to take. And I want my scalps. So I want to take an opportunity to get in the marketplace when there's a lot of interest. Orders are going to flood in there. That means I'm going to get the best fills. I'm going to get filled easily. I'm going to get my price. My limit order will fill. It won't run down there and touch the price and not fill. So we can talk about statistics, and statistics are, I've created more millionaires in my educational, foray in the world as his teacher with the idea of the inversion fair value gap and incorporating with runs on liquidity. So it's very strong. It's a breadwinner. It's like once you learn it, you don't need to do anything else. You don't need to worry about all those videos I got on my YouTube channel. That was me creating an encyclopedia for my kids. So that way they know everything. If something happens to dad, this is what I have to say about it. And because I love them, I want to tell them every facet, every detail, what led up to me thinking this way, what created, because they would have questions like, if there's something happened to me and I'm not here, wonder why dad came up with this, or where did he get this idea, and what makes him think about that? These are all questions I thought about when I made these videos. I want to be able to, like Michael Keaton's movie, My Life, watch it and you'll understand what I did. Because that's exactly what I did with everything. Like my whole compendium is basically my rendition of that with trading, talking to my kids. But I said a lot about a lot of things. And I guess because, this was like a grand slam home run with a lot of people around the world that had a basic understanding of what it is I teach. When it got in their hands and they started using it, it works. It really works strong. And there's other things that you can learn that's already on my YouTube channel, but it's easier to see the fair value gap. It's a visual, obvious little standout in the charts. It's not hiding from anybody. And because I give you a very specific time window, and the first time it prints, it kind of makes it easy. This is the only one you got to worry about. And if you use that idea, carry it forward and look for the next pool of liquidity for whatever session you're trading in, you don't need the full daily range. You don't need to have the full weekly range. You don't need to have half of it. All you need is 20 handles, 15 handles, and you can carve out a huge, huge net worth doing that. I have a woman, she's not my best trader, but I have a woman trader. All she aims for is 15 handles in NQ. She wants it 2 or 3 times a week, and she's done. She's made $6.5 million this year, just this year. Now, I don't know about you, but $6.5 million is a good living. Like I'm sure most of you would not have a hard time living with that. You could afford a lot of things and pretty much nail down a solid outcome to the rest of your life with that. It doesn't mean you're going to live high on the hog the rest of your life, because $1 million doesn't spend well anymore. It's easy to spend that. But $6.5 million, and you're only doing 2 or 3 trades a week, and you're looking for just 15 handles. That's it. It's running a lot more when she's out, but she doesn't care. She knows what she wants. She knows that this is what makes her nervous. If she stays in there longer, she has all these questions about, should I stay? Should I go? Should I stay? Should I go? So she compensated with that by saying, this is what I did. You told me you want to look for 15 handles as a minimum. So I use that. If that's the minimum for you, ICT, that's what I'm aiming for, and that's all I'm going to look for. And she has no aspirations ever increasing. She has no interest. And why would I tell her to do it? Who would be correct or justified in telling her that she needs to tinker with it, that she needs to add more to it? Who else in this audience has made $6.5 million just this year, trading one market 2 or 3 times a week and knowing when she wants to stop? There's about 800 of you in here right now. I guarantee you, there ain't no one in here making $6.5 million just trading 2 or 3 times this in the Nasdaq and knowing that's all they want is 15 handles. But that's how little you can do. But look how much it grows. She allows her fixed percentage of equity being applied using simply the cause and effect of money management. As she makes more money, she's not increasing the percentage of risk that's fixed. So she's allowing the principle of fixed percentage allocation per trade as her equity goes up. She's risking more dollars, but not percentage based on her equity. So her equity risk exposure remains constant. But $6.5 million is $6.5 million, right? You'd want it. I would miss it if I didn't have it. And if someone says, "Here, here's an extra $6.5 million," I'm not going to look at it and say, "Go fuck yourself. I don't want $6.5 million." So she didn't come out this year to aim for $6.5 million, but as her equity went up, she was catching big runs. What happens? She's got more to swing behind each run. And she lets herself go 4 trades, and then she cuts back to her lowest percentage allocation. Whereas I go 5, and I cut back to my lowest and build myself back up. She uses 4 trades. If she's got 4 wins, she cuts back to her lower percentage again. Why? Because she knows she's going to have a losing trade. So she's allowed time and experience to build behind her, and it's like the wind in her sails. And she wants to do the very least and let the power of compound interest do the heavy lifting. Now, I'm not saying that you're all going to do the same thing she's doing, or that any of you will. I can't say that. I can't make that claim. But I can just tell you that these things have worked in so many different people's lives where it connected them with a lifestyle that probably would never happen for them. And they didn't have to pay anything for it. And they hear the same stories that you hear and read all the same things and the complaints and the people making up all kinds of stuff. And she, and like the other ones that made money today, they moved it to the side and said, "Yeah, it's none of my business. I'm here about me. It's about me." And it's not selfish. It means you're dedicated, you're focused, and you're filtering out the bullshit. So everybody can have a different style and approach to trading. There's so many ways out there we can have profitability. It doesn't have to be an ICT anchored, concept. There are lots of people out there making lots of money. And you need to find out what works for you. You may come to the conclusion that my shit just doesn't work for you. I've had paid students come to me and they said, "I just can't make it work." And they went and did other things and they were profitable. It doesn't discount anything that I've ever done or taught. It doesn't discount or remove the profitability of the millionaire students I've had. And you don't see all the millionaires I've created. But I'm thankful that the ones that are doing it publicly are making themselves known. But I've been laughing at everyone that's doubted everything because they assume they know everything when you don't know anything. You have no idea. 2 million people follow me. And it's crazy when you think about how many people are plugging into what you're learning and the shit still works. And I get the same question all the time. Don't you think it's going to become the new retail? No, because it cannibalizes retail concepts. Retail concepts are always going to be there. Always going to be there because everybody wants something simple. Give me a ceiling to sell short from. Give me a floor to go long on. That's where I'm going to put my stop. That's where I'm going to put my entry. That's easy. That's easy to fleece, and it's always going to be there. That's always going to be the mentality. Everybody wants easy. And easy, well, it's not easy when they try it, is it? They lose. But it's easy for us to cannibalize them. And I make no qualms about it. I have no problem. I have no conflict of interest with it because everybody signs the same risk disclosures when they join. When they put their money in the marketplace, they sign the same shit I did. You're probably going to lose money if you don't know what you're doing. Okay. So if they offer their heads on the block, I'm going to chop it off. I'm going to take my pound of flesh. That's the way this works. And you don't have to have any issues with it. If you do, then you can't be a trader. Because if you're making money, someone's losing that. I'm not worrying about the guy that can't feed his kid at nighttime because I took all of his money on his losing trade and I won. I don't look at it that way. I don't internalize it that way. I look at it as I beat the shit out of the marketplace. The marketplace. I don't personify it with someone that's raising children. They're on, fixed income and they just put the last bit of money. I don't do that. I'm not evil. I'm not a monster. So I frame it in a way where I can live with myself. So I look at it as I'm beating the shit out of the marketplace. I'm beating it. It's a game where I have to use intelligence to beat the most intelligent people that are trying to take from me. And if I could have made it easier, I certainly would have. If I could have made it more streamlined, so here's all you got to do, I would have done it. But there's a lot of things you have to learn. There's a lot of things that you have to take in account for yourself and own the responsibilities. Come forward with, these are my character flaws, and I'm going to do what I can to discover what they are. I'm not going to hide them. I'm not going to pretend they don't exist. If you remember, we refer to it as Fight Club around here. And watch the movie again if you didn't watch it recently. What is this? It's a bunch of guys that come together and they're just trying to get through this world. They got their own fucking problems. They all have problems. We all have the same problems. All of us. We're all human. And we come together, we hash it out, we talk about what we did wrong, what we did right, wish we could have did this, I wish we would have learned that sooner. I'm thankful that this happened. We knuckle up, throw a couple haymakers at each other. Look, I don't believe your bullshit would work for me. Well, I don't like them fucking fair value gaps, ICT. You know what I like? I like breakers. I like fucking Fibonacci. I like pitchforks up my ass. Whatever the fuck it is that you guys want to use, if it makes you money, great. I love hearing it. I love hearing about it. I love seeing it, the camaraderie that says, you know what? We don't have to agree about everything because we're all doing the same fucking thing. We're in Fight Club. We're trying to make fucking money. When we leave, nobody hates each other. Nobody's lifted up on a pedestal. I don't want anybody looking at me like a fucking celebrity. I'm glad that guy Pax came in here. Let me tell you something. The guys that were doing that job, they were my fucking heroes. I wanted to work in the pits with them. I wanted to do that. I wanted to be so good that I could be down there with them because I was convinced that they had the greatest edge, like he was saying. I have students that were on the floor and all this open outcry pits. When guys had to come out of the pits, they struggled because all of that advanced knowledge, they could see all these big conglomerates coming in, pushing orders in. If these whales are coming in and they're buying and buying and buying and buying, that's like getting the fucking inside loop, like Nancy Pelosi and the rest of these assholes in the Senate, where they listen to these hearings about getting things passed so that a company can bring forward an IPO or some kind of bullshit they're going to do. They have inside information. The guys in the pit, they had inside information. They had all the real order flow. Fuck your level 2 bullshit. Fuck all that. They saw the rhythm. They saw how that tape was being played out. They could see who was coming in. And like you said, you can see who's getting squeezed, who's getting pressured right now. I love hearing about that. The students that came to me, I spent many nights talking to them in conversation like we're doing right now. And I wanted to listen to them because I loved it because they had their finger on the pulse of the real market. They were seeing the real thrust of big, huge whales coming in. And all you got to do is ride their coattails. You didn't have to be the first fucking print. You didn't have to be the first runner in that rally higher or lower. You start seeing these big fucking orders coming in. These guys are going to put big money in there because they have something invested in. They have an outcome invested. Well, shit, on the floor, small fluctuations all day long. It's your meal ticket. But if you catch a big run and you got whales piling in, what do you think they're going to do? Fade them? They're not going to fade him. They know what the fuck he's going to do. He's going to go in there and start build it up. Like he said, he's not going to try to go against that. That's advantageous. That's not the same thing that level 2 does today, but that's how they market it. They try to tell you, you don't know what real order flow is, ICT. You ICT traders don't know shit. Dude, before all these things start printing numbers around here, I already know where I want to be in, and I know where it's likely to go. That's what you need to understand. When you learn from me, that's what we're focusing on. A bias, we're bullish or bearish, or we're sitting still. And these fucking asshats, they literally run around here saying, oh, it's a no trade for them. It's a no trade for them. They gambled. They have no idea what the fuck they're doing. They're just trying to be in there every time something moves. I don't want to do that. I want to have all of the edge behind me. I want to know that there's going to be somebody falling victim to that price run. And I need to know why it should take place based on a higher time frame premise. And by having a first presented fair value gap to anchor my idea on, It means I'm eliminating a lot of bullshit. I don't have to worry about, all these moving parts. I don't have to worry about all these different time frames. 1 minute chart, first presented fair value gap. I'm on bullish or bearish. Wonderful. If I'm bullish, if we move down from that first presented fair value gap's formation, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to look for that fucker to become an inversion fair value gap. I'm going to add every single fucking time it gives me an opportunity inside it. I'm going to build and build and build and build and build. And when that son of a bitch takes off and rips out of there like a SpaceX rocket, I'm smiling. And it reaches to an old high, a relative equal high, closes the opening range gap, goes into the new week opening gap, something that is an easy draw on liquidity. I'm done. I've made more money than most people make in a year in one trade. And I have to move to the sideline and I have to think to myself, now everybody else is going to fight and claw and tear at each other, try to make something. And I'm already done. I'm already done. And I'm thankful that I think that way now. Because when I was younger, as soon as I would get a win, I want to go back in again because I was like, man, this feels so good. I want to have another one. I want to do it again. It feels so good. And that's not winning. That's gambling. That's you chasing the thrill, not you trading a model. And I had wonderful price runs that built up huge runs in equity as a 20-year-old and then shit the bed because I wasn't satisfied with what I just did. I had to do it again. I had to do it again. I got addicted. I got addicted to that moment of astonishment that I could do this in my own hands. And that's what I was asking the gentleman tonight. And I ask every single time I have a millionaire student, I ask them, how do you feel about it and how are you going to manage yourself? Because making $1 million, wonderful, absolutely wonderful, proud moment. It feels great. But a lot of people don't know how to handle that. $1 million isn't that much money anymore. You can't live the rest of your life on $1 million. In the 80s, it could have helped a lot, but still, the likelihood of you hit the penny pinch, but $1 million could carry for a while. $1 million now, shit. The way they're pushing real estate prices, $1 million doesn't buy you much of a house anymore. So you can't really live on $1 million. How you make this money, and once you acquire it, how it's going to change you, how you're going to think. Is it going to make you feel like you got to do more because $1 million isn't enough for a year? I promise you, if you can get to the point where you're making $250,000 a year, that's a good living. And if anybody tells you otherwise, they're full of shit. I promise you, you will struggle when you start making big money because you're not going to know how to behave. And you need to build a plan before you get there. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to stick to this much risk only. I'm only going to trade this many times because you will get drunk. You won't be satisfied when you're making a killing. You're going to feel like, well, I felt so easy. Let me just go out there and do it again. No, it's not like a good price run where you can feel confident adding to the position. That's what happens when you get punch drunk, when you start making big, big payouts. When you get big profits and you're taking money out of your brokerage firm and you're seeing it go into your bank account, that's a wonderful feeling. It's an intoxicating feeling. And you're never going to be able to convey that message the same way you receive it with other people. Other traders are not going to see it like you. Many times, especially on social media, they're going to think that you didn't really do it. You're lying. You're fake. You didn't do it live in front of them on a live stream. You didn't sign in your brokerage firm and enter the order so they can copy you beforehand. And all this bullshit. People that are really doing it, if I can get your attention long enough to convince you not to feel obligated to prove everything, then you won't feel these impulsive natures to do more than is necessary when you start making big money. $1 million a year, certainly possible. $500,000 a year, certainly possible. $250,000, easy. $100,000 a year, easy. $50,000 a year, cakewalk. But right now, you just got to be able to be consistent with one micro lot. That's how you got to worry about it right now. And the things that you're going to do with that one micro lot, the same thing you're going to do with one mini contract. And the same thing you're going to do when you build up to 10 minis. And the same thing you're going to do when you build up to 50 contracts and 100 contracts. Same thing. It's the same thing. Nothing changes. The outcome's not necessary. It's not gonna undo you. And all of this can be framed on a simple little three candlestick formation during a 30-minute window that can't hide from you. I honestly wish I could have every one of my millionaire students that have came forward and joined the ones that are never going to talk to you. They're never going to, they don't care. They don't want to hear the people say, you didn't really do that, you're lying. They don't want to hear it. They don't care. They're not worried about all that stuff. They're living their life. They're doing what they want to do. But I wish that I could have them all together, kind of like an Oprah Winfrey, TV special where we all are together and they can stand up for about a minute or two and say, this is what I was fearful of in the beginning. And this is what I wanted to do. And now I'm doing this, and it was nowhere near what I thought it was going to be like. And it's nothing like I thought it was going to be. I feared things that I didn't have to worry about in the end. And the things I thought were going to be hard weren't that hard. That's the things I want, other students to hear. And when Kit does these types of things, that's what I'm listening for. I'm listening for the moments where people come forward and they say, these are the things I struggled with, and this is how I dealt with it, and this is what I've been able to do right now. That's victory. To me, I see those things as inspirational, and I'm already set. I don't need to do anything the rest of my life. But when I hear that, and I hear the emotion, I hear the healing that some of you went through, and the valleys that some of you guys are in. I know what that's like. And that's just like that movie Fight Club. Everybody came together some way, shape, or form with a fucking problem. They knew that the people that we come around, we get it. We may not be going through it. We maybe didn't go through that yet or suffered as much as they have. But we know that that person's working their ass off, and that's commendable. That person gives a shit about their family, and they're working for it. They're out here trying to carve out their own niche in this, and they're going to find their way, and they're not going to stop. They're not going to give up. And they get encouragement from all of you. And it's respectful. It's admirable. I wish I had this coming up. I needed it, man. I fucking was a wreck. Crying all the time, beating shit up, throwing shit around, hurting fucking people. I had to take it out on whatever event I would do it. And if I was a drinker or a drug user, I probably would have done something worse. But these are very helpful things, and more people should be involved. But the problem is more people involved means a lot more people are going to get their feelings hurt because they didn't get a chance to talk. And I think Kit's learning how to better manage the audience and the participation. And it's certainly better than the first few times I listened to years ago. And it's a work in progress. And none of you should have your feelings hurt because you're all able to talk to me. And Pax gave his stuff. You could reach out to him too. Tweet to me. If you talk shit, I'm going to talk shit back. If you ask me a question, if I don't answer it then, I'll bring it into some video I'm going to do next. Or it's probably already answered and someone's going to come forward and say, he mentioned this here. And if it didn't come from me, don't be offended. I don't respond to everything, not because I think I'm high, snooty and egotistical. It's just if I spoon feed someone, they're going to want it every single time. And all the answers are available to you if you do the work and study. And the ones that are good questions, I'll field them. I'll mention something to kind of like bring light to it. But you don't need to know everything right now. You don't need to do real quick, fill me in with everything right now. No, because that doesn't work. Because as soon as you think you learned something, 50 new questions pop up as soon as you try to look for it in the charts. And then what happens is your inexperience leads to what? Doubt about whether you're going to do it. Oh, this is harder than I thought. This is complicated. No, you're trying to find all the answers real fast. Same thing you did when you were a student in school. You didn't study for the test. You know you got to take the fucking test or you're going to fail. You don't want to fail. You don't want to go home to your parents with a bad grade on your interim report or your report card. So what do? You fuck up and rush and you try to cheat and look over here. What'd you get for question number 4? You chose C? Fuck, I had B. Well, you look like you've been reading and studying. I'll just go with your answer. What the fuck's that? What is that? But that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to jump ahead without putting any work in. And if you care enough to want to make a lot of money doing this, you want the finer things in life, then you're going to put the work in. And nobody gets here that didn't deserve it. And I'll say it again and I'll close. Nobody gets here, finds success, makes real money that didn't deserve it. Nobody falls into it by accident. They work their ass off. So you're not going to be the exception. No one owes you a fucking handout. Nobody owes you a free, whatever the hell those redemption codes are to get a funded account. Get a fucking job. Pay for them. Save up money. Put it in a real account. You'll care more about it. You're not. If I bought everybody, a funded account because they asked for it, nobody asking me would be able to do anything with it. Because you know damn well, if you believed that you were able to do it well enough, you would find the money because they ain't that much money. It's inexpensive. It's a fucking pizza night at Papa John's. That's what they cost now. But the people that are asking for it, they would find a way. They would sell something, find a way to get it. And then you would care about nurturing and managing that thing to get a payout. Because that's what all of the profitable students do. I haven't made one millionaire that has anything out of my pocket that I paid for them. I didn't give them money to trade, and I didn't pay for any other prop accounts. They did it all by themselves. And some of them failed beforehand. Not once, not twice. Some of them failed dozens of times, but they didn't stop. They didn't quit. They knew this is what they wanted to do. They didn't give a shit what anybody else said about it because they kept their nose down in the charts and didn't talk about what they were failing on right now. They kept it in Fight Club. They kept it private. Here, when you guys talk amongst each other, everybody here respects the next guy. You may not agree with what the hell they're talking about. It's fine. But you understand that they're here because they care and they're working for it. And I love that. I love this, man. I love seeing it. I love seeing the participation in it. And I love the encouragement each one of you guys give to one another and the respect that you show one another. In this world right now, it's shitty. Everybody's talking shit about everybody. They want to take from somebody. Nobody's taking anything from anybody here except for encouragement. Nobody's shitting on anybody here. Nobody's talking down to anybody here. It's therapy. It's group therapy. It's group self-talk. It's a recalibration. And for me, I think it's fucking beautiful. Enjoy your weekend, guys.